Vacation is dead. And White Lotus Season 3 proves it. Brutally, beautifully, and most importantly, piece by piece. Because in this season, everything dies. Love dies, family dies, meaning dies. But Chelsea survives. Well, not exactly, but she does. Let's look at that in a minute. Sweet, wonderful, beautiful Chelsea. Slice by slice, this season carves away everything we thought we could believe in. And it does it in a way that is so fascinating, so subtle, that most of us missed it the first time. By the end of Season 3, everything is dead. Everything. Except one terrible, tragic little thing. So let's dive in and find out why White Lotus didn't just kill off characters, but held a funeral for Vacation itself. When White Lotus first aired, it looked like it was just poking fun at rich people on vacation. Beautiful resorts, awful behavior, lots of sunscreen and social rot. Season 1 gave us petty grievances and a dead body. Season 2 gave us sex, betrayal and one of the best slow burn murder mysteries TV had seen in years. But Season 3 does something darker. It stops being satire and starts being a eulogy. Because this time, it's not just a person who dies. It's your hopes, aspirations, and dreams, culminating in the burial of Vacation itself. All is gone. And what's fascinating is the show doesn't spell that out. It doesn't tell you, hey, we're burning everything. It shows you. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. Every episode takes another slice of what we aspire to, hope for, and want from life itself. It's a season about death. Emotional death, cultural death, the death of meaning, packaged in sunsets, seafood, a lizard, and spa treatments. And if you only focus on who dies, you'll miss it. Even though the show poses in the very beginning exactly this question, who gets shot? But the catch? It's not people, but ideas. Well, almost. And that's where Chelsea comes in, because while love, family, morality, and closure collapse one by one, something of Chelsea does actually survive. And it's the only thing that survives in Season 3, in the worst and most beautiful way possible. And it's that final twist why this season is also about what refuses to die, even when it maybe should. Alright, now that we know what the real stakes are, let's start slicing. The first thing that dies in White Lotus Season 3 isn't a person. It's something more subtle, more insidious. The idea of family as a source of unconditional love and support. We meet the Ratliff family. Timothy Ratliff, a wealthy businessman facing legal troubles. Victoria Ratliff, his pill-popping narcissistic wife. Tsunami. And their 3 children. Saxon Patrick Schwarzenegger, surprise, at least to me, their eldest son. Piper exploring Buddhism. And Lachlan, the youngest son, still finding his place, and which places not to find his hand in or around. Ugh. They've traveled to Thailand under the pretense of Piper writing her thesis on a Buddhist clan leader and a family vacation, but it's clear that deeper issues are at play. Timothy's mounting legal issues cast a shadow over the trip. In a moment of despair, he nearly poisons his entire family, a chilling act that underscores the disintegration of familial bonds. Like, before poisoning everyone, at least ask them first. I get that they say they cannot live without money, but come on. Also, classic White Lotus for nodding towards the classic Greek tragedy, for unintentionally hurting the only one you wanted to spare. Tanya the Oracle would be proud. That's just an insider from me to myself about a video I wrote but never finished. Makes a lot of sense to say that here, I know. Anyway, this isn't just a dramatic plot point. It's a commentary on how wealth and status can corrode genuine relationships. The Ratliffs' interactions are marked by superficiality, avoidance, and a lack of genuine connection. Their family unit, rather than being a source of comfort, becomes a facade, maintained for appearances. Appearances so important that they apparently are worth dying for. Their trip to Thailand, intended as a family bonding experience, instead exposes the hollow core of their relationships. The death of family here isn't marked by a single event, but by a series of small telling moments. Conversations filled with subtext and avoidance, a lack of empathy and understanding, the prioritization of image over intimacy. Well, there was a special kind of intimacy going on, but honestly, what happens in Thailand stays in Thailand. By the season's end, the Ratliffs return home, their issues unresolved, their connections frayed. The family as a source of unconditional love and support is effectively dead. So, with family dead, surely romance will save us, right? The two young starry-eyed White Lotus employees who, at first, seem like they might embody something pure, something deep. Two people from humble backgrounds, hoping for love in the golden glow of a tourist paradise. And for a while, they do. They flirt, they giggle, they share stolen moments under palm trees and sun-faded skies. But here's the catch. Mook only starts to truly notice when he starts to talk about ambition, when he dreams out loud about maybe moving to Bangkok, getting a better job, and building a life beyond his little parking lot guardhouse. Before that, content, kind, humble, dreaming small, Mook barely looked at him twice. He was just another sweet nobody in a place full of nobodies. Only when ambition flickers in his eyes, only when he hints at escape, does he become interesting. Feisty Mook. Here I was just thinking, what bland one-dimensional humbleness, but boy can she toxic. Rawr. The moment he shows content again, pride in the small life he has, his religion, faith, and values, she pulls back. Not cruelly, not consciously, but it's there. The subtle death of desire. This isn't just a personal rejection, it's a theme. In a world obsessed with moving up, ambition is sexy, contentment is invisible. In the paradise of White Lotus, even love is poisoned by social climbing. Romance today isn't just about hearts and flowers, it's about resumes, prospects, potential. White Lotus Season 3 nails this with painful precision. Mook just needs him to be rising. When he's not, love dies. So he kills a dude, so Mook can be turned on. Another slice carved away. So with love dead, what about closure? Enter Rick Hatchet. Rick comes to Thailand with a plan. He believes that a man named Henry, an aging American expatriate, killed his father years ago. And now Rick wants justice, or at least closure. He even brings a gun, for closure. At first, Rick promises that he won't use it, that this will just be a conversation, a confrontation for peace, not violence. But quietly, instinctively, he takes the gun anyway. He and his buddy Frank fake their way into Henry's home by pretending to be movie producers, offering Henry's wife a fake part. Finally, in Henry's Thai home office, Rick confronts him, weapon in hand. And in that moment, the truth hits him. Henry isn't a monster, he's just an old man, pathetic, frail, more memory than menace. Rick can't do it. He flees, he throws the gun away. And for a moment, a flicker, it seems like this might be closure. Facing your demon and walking away. Choosing forgiveness over revenge. Rick even says it. I'm okay, I'm good. But White Lotus doesn't believe in neat endings, not in Season 3. Because later, back at the resort, Henry and his wife show up again. Henry confronts Rick, laughs at him, teases him, brushing off Rick's turmoil as a pathetic joke, and even insults his mother. Rick tries to keep it together. He tries not to derail his life for good. He even seeks out the resort's anger management counselor, who insisted before to care about Rick's emotional well-being. Rick is desperate for a real therapeutic intervention, but she's booked. Healing, after all, is a luxury service. Rick spirals, and when he sees Henry one last time, it's too much. Rick grabs Henry's gun and shoots him. Only then, as Henry's wife screams, does Rick learn the final truth. He was your father. The man he spent his life hunting for revenge, the man just killed, was his real father all along. Closure didn't just fail Rick, closure betrayed him. In White Lotus Season 3, closure itself dies. The fantasy that confronting your pain will heal you, gone. The idea that catharsis comes automatically, shattered. The belief that trauma is a problem you can solve, exposed as childish. Rick's journey shows us that closure isn't some prize at the end of a personal quest. Closure is messy, unpredictable, and often unattainable. Most trauma survivors do not experience neat emotional resolution. Healing is not linear. Often it is not closure people need, it's learning to live with uncertainty. Psychologist Pauline Boss coined the term ambiguous loss, grief without closure, describing it as the most stressful kind of loss. She argues that the modern obsession with closure is toxic, unrealistic, and leaves people feeling more broken when it doesn't arrive. White Lotus slices right into this uncomfortable truth. Here in season 3, you don't get answers. You don't get peace. You don't even get to know if you were right or wrong. Here, closure comes to die. So, closure is done for. Next up, resolution. Also in season 3 we meet Frank, Rick's longtime friend. The type of guy who talks too loud at the hotel bar, makes a scene by the pool, and thinks every problem can be solved with enough beer and bad advice. At first Frank seems like the comic relief, the washed up funny mess who somehow clings to optimism. But then something strange happens. Frank gives a big speech about how he's changed. He talks about growth, about facing his demons, about the fact that he now knows he wants to be a Thai woman. For a second, a real second, you almost believe him. And maybe, just maybe, the loudest man in the room actually figured something out. He achieved resolution. But of course, because this is White Lotus season 3, it falls apart almost instantly. Frank backslides the second he gets an excuse. All the stuff he talked about sounded wise until you realize it's just a man rehearsing forgiveness for himself. A script to avoid accountability. Frank's entire arc is the death of true resolution. Because we live in a world where saying you are changed has replaced actual changing. Where I'm working on myself is often just social camouflage, and Frank embodies that brutal truth. Frank didn't change. He just changed the story he tells about himself. A weird story too, I might add. And the second that story is inconvenient, he abandons it, just for one night. Faster than you can say namaste. Another slice carved away. Resolution is dead. So what is left if everything is gone? Morality survives, right? In a figure like Belinda Lindsay, our friend from season 1, the spa manager who once dreamed of opening her own wellness center. The one who was crushed by Tanya's self-centeredness, tossed aside like an old business card. Now in season 3, she's back, but different, sharper, less trusting. And here's the thing, when Greg, yes, that Greg, Tanya's creepy husband, the one who got her killed for money, shows up spending her inheritance in Thailand while hiding from the authorities. When he tries to buy Belinda's silence, she at first doesn't want his dirty money, and we fully expect her to stay that course. But when $5 million are on the table, she takes the money, no moral crusade, no righteous fury, just cold, hard survival. And we, the audience, we are happy for her. We are relieved when she gets the bag. We cheer because in a world this rotten, what else was she supposed to do? And that's exactly the point. White Lotus doesn't just show that morality is dead, it shows how we don't even mourn it anymore. We applaud its death, if it comes with a fat enough paycheck. Imagine a movie 10 years ago, ending with this message. That's kinda new. This isn't just cynicism for its own sake, it's a mirror to real life. We don't expect morality from people anymore. We expect strategy. We expect hustle. We reward survival over virtue. Belinda's arc in season 3 is not a betrayal of her character. It's a heartbreaking evolution. In season 1, Belinda believed in change. In season 3, Belinda believes in winning. Not because she became evil, because the world around her taught her painfully that hope is a currency that always crashes first. The moral of the story, morality didn't just die, we sold it, and then we clapped. Another slice carved off the human spirit. And since we are already talking about him, remember Greg from season 1 and 2? You know, the guy who plotted Tanya's death, gaslit her, handed her over to be murdered on a yacht and stole her fortune? What does White Lotus season 3 do with him? It lets him heal. Not only is Greg not punished, he gets closure. He faces his own childhood trauma, which... whatever. gets to work through it with his new French-Canadian girlfriend, enjoying the sunset and other stuff, sitting on his special chair. Instead of giving Greg what he deserves, and the message being you betrayed love and life and now face justice, it's, hey man, you had a tough upbringing, no kink shaming here, go, be free. This isn't an accident, it's the death of karma, gone. White Lotus shrugs and says, people are messy, justice is optional, let's move on. And we, the audience, weirdly accept it, because we too stopped believing that the bad guys lose. Karma is dead, bring your own champagne. So, family, love, closure, growth, karma, all dead. Let's hope for spirituality to save us. Let Piper Ratliff save us. The good Ratliff kid. She's not chasing status. She's here to write her thesis on a revered Buddhist monk. Or so she says. The truth, Piper isn't here to study, she's here to escape. She dreams of staying at the monastery for a full year, leaving behind her toxic family, their greed, their noise. When Piper tells her mother Victoria, it sparks one of the best arguments in the series. Piper accuses her family of being shallow, but Victoria shrugs, what's wrong with wanting a nice life? It's not even a fight, because Victoria knows what Piper doesn't. Piper's rebellion is fake, so Victoria offers her a deal. Stay one night at the monastery, no AC, no luxuries, no organic food, then decide. Piper caves before sunrise. She stumbles back to the resort defeated. Piper didn't want meaning, she wanted an aesthetic. A story to tell, not a sacrifice to live. And also this isn't just fiction. Today many Westerners who seek spiritual transformation through retreats and monasteries, even purpose-driven travel, report feelings of disillusionment afterward, not transcendence. Psychologists call this spiritual bypassing, the idea that we want the glow of enlightenment without enduring the sacrifice. But real spirituality demands discomfort. Most of us want it until it costs something. The White Lotus slices into that brutal truth. Spirituality isn't dying because the world is evil, it's dying because we want meaning without pain, faith without surrender, transformation without loss. And so Piper returns, not enlightened, just hungry for some Whole Foods carbs. In White Lotus Season 3, spirituality checks in and checks out before brunch. So having said all that, at this point you might think, okay, family, romance, closure, resolution, morality, karma, meaning, all dead. But what does that have to do with vacation itself? Here's what. Vacation always had been a ritual of hope. When you go on vacation, you are performing a story you secretly believe about life itself, about yourself. That family bonds can be repaired if you just spend time together. That romance can be rekindled if you just get away from the noise. That spiritual insight can be found if you just go somewhere foreign enough. That closure for old wounds can be achieved with the meaning of sunsets and silence. That moral clarity will be restored if you just step outside your crazy, normal life for a bit. That karma will reward your exhaustion, your suffering, your striving if you just hold on a little longer and finally arrive at your 5-star resort. The true magic of vacation wasn't about leaving your problems behind for a while. It was about believing for a fragile moment that life is fixable, that you could be fixed. With the right scenery, the right setting, your story would finally make sense too. But when White Lotus Season 3 killed all of those ideas, one by one, it isn't just killing family, love, spirituality, it's killing the very engine that made vacation work. Because if family doesn't heal when you're together, love doesn't reignite under sunsets, and peace doesn't emerge in temples, what's left? Vacation becomes a charade. You're not escaping to heal, you're escaping to perform healing. Vacation is not an experience that enriches your life. It is just another consumer good like your shoes, TV and car, sold as transcendence and delivered as emptiness. And that's why White Lotus feels so unsettling this season. It's not just a satire of spoiled tourists and crumbling native economies on the hands of rich foreigners like the first 2 seasons. This season is a funeral for the very idea of vacation itself. Now, for the last mystery of Season 3, why did I claim that Chelsea is the only thing that survived? So after everything else has been buried, family, love, closure, meaning, karma, all gone, what could possibly survive? Chelsea. Not Chelsea the person, but Chelsea the idea. Because Chelsea, more than anyone else in season 3, embodies this one thing not even White Lotus could kill: naivety. At first glance, Chelsea seems like just another side character. Bright, sweet, obviously heart-wrenchingly naive. The kind of person you expect to fade into the background in a story like this. Her dynamic with Rick is as old as clichés get. The much younger woman trying to save, to change her much older man. And she tries. She really tries. Even when he pushes her away. Even when it's obvious to everyone else that Rick is past the point of redemption. Chelsea keeps believing. She believes that kindness is enough, that patience is enough, that being good is enough. She carries that belief like a torch running straight into the darkness. And in the end, it kills her. Because when Rick eventually breaks, Chelsea becomes collateral damage. The final tragic proof that hope doesn't shield you from the consequences of other people's despair. In the White Lotus season 3, what Chelsea stands for doesn't die like everything else, because she believes in it until she dies. It is the one thing that is not dismantled in front of our eyes. Naivety survives. Because even when everything rational told her to give up, even when the world made a mockery of goodness, Chelsea still believed. Naivete, the stubborn, fragile dream that maybe it's not all bad, somehow cannot be killed, even though it maybe should. When the facts say otherwise, when the world burns around it, against all logic, it survives. And that's why Chelsea, or the idea of her, is the last thing standing at the end of White Lotus season 3. Not because she wins, not because she's stronger, but because naivete outlives everything else. It shouldn't survive, it's irrational, it's tragic, it's damaging to the people who carry it and the people affected by those, and it does anyway survive. In letting naivete survive, the White Lotus makes the tragedy complete. We lose faith, we lose trust, we lose meaning, we lose everything that once made life feel safe, sacred, worth believing in. And yet, after making the same mistakes over and over again, something inside us still quietly whispers, maybe next time will be different. Maybe the next family vacation will fix us. Maybe the next love will heal us. Maybe the next life will make sense. That's not wisdom, that's not strength, that's just what it means to be human. Naivety is one of our biggest flaws, but also one of our last defenses against despair. And in the ruins of everything we thought we could trust, it's the only thing that refuses to die. So if you ever wonder why you keep booking that ticket, planning that next trip, hoping this time it will be different, it's because somewhere inside you, Chelsea survived. We love you, Chelsea. We always will. I hope you liked this video. If you did, let me know in the comments below, leave a like or subscribe. It really does help the channel a bunch. And if you thought that the death of Vacation was brutal, wait until you see this video and learn why the White Lotus is called the White Lotus and why no one in this story was ever meant to be saved. See you next time.